Get to your campsite and you want to put the leveling jacks down. You come to this front left cubby, open it up. It has this door hold, and then there's one or two of these little wrenches in there. And all you do, we have these blocks as well. So there's 8 or 10 of them. You just set them down on the ground. And you turn it to the right to lower them. And once all your blocks are down, you can actually come up to the front. And there's 2 different leveling guides here. You have the left and right, and this bubble should be right in the middle. And you have your front to back, and the bubble also should be right in the middle. So these are the instructions for hooking up the electric. Open the door. You usually leave the extension cord right here in the doorway. Got a flap that opens up. This is 30 amp service. So we have a cord here, and this is a twist lock. So it's got one little extension piece that kind of sticks up. It's L-shaped. So that goes on the bottom, and then it twists and locks in place. And then you just plug this side into either a 30 amp service, or we have an adapter for 110. And just plug it in. Now we can walk inside, and underneath the desk there's a button. This button, it says Renogy on it. You just hit this button, and now the inverter is on. And then this is the battery. It shows whether the battery is charging or where your battery capacity is at. It's a 200 amp hour lithium battery with the 2000 watt inverter. There's 2 ways to hook up water. You can either fill the freshwater tank using this plug right here. This cap just twists off and fresh water goes in there. There's actually 2 hoses in this storage cubby. If there is water hookup though at your campsite, you can come around to the other side, and there's a hookup for a hose right here on this side. Right here. And you just thread that in and you're good to go. Okay, so these are the instructions for lighting the hot water heater. First, you got to come over to the propane tanks, make sure they're both turned on. This has 2 tanks. There's actually a valve in here that controls which of the tanks is active. And then we can walk over to our hot water heater. It's got this tab that sticks out. Turn this 90 degrees vertical, and then the whole panel opens up here. This is your temperature control for high, medium, or low. And this is your valve to actually turn it on. So you do need an igniter. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this over to the pilot mode, and then we're gonna hold this down, and then we're actually gonna heat up this thermocouple that's right here. Sometimes the pilot will light, sometimes it won't. But after a few minutes of heating that element up, we're gonna turn the pilot to the on, turn it to the on position. And it lights right up. After you get your leveling jacks down, if you need that extra bedroom, we always put the poles right here on this back ledge. There's 3 poles for this. All you need for the outside is 2. So we're gonna come out here. There's 2 receivers, 1 on each side of the bumper. And these tabs will go kind of flat, horizontal. 1 goes in each side. And then you have these 2 holders here. These just righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So get that one. Get the second one. And then there's a handle here. And this just pulls down. And it's not terribly heavy, but you may want to have another person. And then there's 2 buttons underneath that will hold these, 2 tabs that will hold these pulls. There's one here on this side, and there's one on the other side. This is your top, so we're gonna go inside. We have a curtain, and the curtain just pushes either to the left or to the right. And now you can see what we're dealing with inside. So this pole, we're just gonna set to the side for just a second, but it has this flip up. This is the structure that holds the tent roof. So this just folds up. And now we're gonna grab this pole. And it's got two sides. It's got this little plastic piece here. This is actually just gonna clip onto that piece that we just pushed up. So make sure that the top of your tube is facing towards the ceiling. We're just gonna clip this onto this bar. And then we've got this little receiver here, and it's got these two push pins. Just push it through the first one, and now you're set to go. And we also have, for this drop down, we have a cushion that we always keep in the front while we're traveling. It just unfolds. And you've got a full-size bed. There are bungee cords on the outside. You don't have to use them, but if it's windy, it can hold it in place a little better. So we're just gonna grab, there's 3 of them that go across. And you get all 3 of them. The first 2 go on top of the pole, and the third one doesn't really matter. We're gonna come over to the other side. We've got this flap that sticks down. Might be tucked up in, so you might have to reach up in and grab it. So we're gonna latch the first one. Same thing with the second. And same thing with the third. And sometimes this also kind of bunches up here. So it's just a matter of pulling this down and over. And this also has doors in here, so if you wanted to unzip it so you could see out, you can do that as well. When you're ready to pull down the awning, there's a pole in this other cubby. It's just stored in here. It's a longer pole here. It's got this little hook on the end. That's important, because we're gonna loosen each of these tightening lugs here. There's one on the front and one on the back. And then it's got these 2 tabs, one on each side. We're gonna push them in, and you'll see that this inner piece kind of pops out. We're going to do both sides. Loosen it up. Pop the tabs. Sometimes it doesn't unlock. You just have to push it out a little bit. On our roller, we have this little tab that sticks straight down, and we're going to push it straight back. Then we have our handle, and that is what pulls the awning out. And we're going to set our top pieces, and then if you want to make the awning really tight, put a little bit of down pressure on, and then you can tighten these up, and you can kind of see that tauts up the material. We'll do the same thing on the front here, and it's got these little tabs that lock these arms in place. So we're going to, again, just put a little bit of down pressure. And these don't have to be cranked down super tight. The next step, we're just gonna put it up the height that we want. So it has this arm that pulls out. And then when you get it set, you're just gonna let that drop. And it's got holes all the way up through. And that's what's gonna lock that in place. Just gonna push this up. Let it drop. Make sure that the awning is high enough so that the door doesn't catch on it. It does have a roller on it, but if it's down too far, especially with the screen can catch and put a hole in the awning. So you just want to make sure that it's high enough so that doesn't catch. The camper has 2 fan hookups. We keep the fans up here in this cabinet. They have this 1/4-inch plug on them. And there's a a jack up here, and there's a jack on the back on the ceiling for the pop out. It just plugs in, and then you've got either a light or a fan. And it does have this little mounting bracket so you can hang it wherever you want it. When you're ready to go into bed mode, this table comes out and it literally just picks straight up in the air. Might take a few pulls, and it's got 2 pulls on the bottom. Sometimes the pulls will stay in the bottom pockets, so you can just set this aside. Set it wherever you need to. And then the bed literally just picks up and lays down. And when you're ready to put it back into table mode, you just kind of pick up and push back. And it folds up, and then you can just put the table back. The camper has 3 windows, and it has these window covers, so if you like sleeping in the dark or if you just want some privacy, these are 2-sided, so they have the foil on the outside and the wall color on the inside. And they have these elastic bands. So essentially what you do is you just pull out one band, tuck a corner in, come to the next corner, pull the band out, and you just go to each of the corners, and that's how they stay in.